I never imagined I'd fall for a too-wild mountain woman, until her whispered words took me back. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. The moment my world shook like an earthquake, and my heart splintered into 1,000 fragile pieces. It started with her, a shadow among the trees, her wild hair tangled in the wind, eyes the color of a stormy sea. Clara, the mountain woman who lived beyond the reach of normalcy. I stood there, trembling, paralyzed by the sheer force of her presence. Surrounded by towering pines, the scent of damp earth and pine needles filled my lungs. All of it felt surreal, like I had stumbled into a dream. She was captivating, and yet there was an unsettling mystery that clung to her like the mist that wrapped around the mountains at dawn. I had come here seeking solace after losing my job, my routine, and ultimately, my grasp on what I thought was a stable life. The mountains were supposed to be a retreat, a balm for my aching soul. But Clara had a way of disrupting that calm. Our conversations had grown intense, electric. She spoke in riddles, weaving tales of the wild, unknown ghosts of those who had vanished into the wilderness, whispers of ancient spirits that roamed the night, and secrets carved into the rocks that spoke of a time before ours. With every word, my heart raced faster. I could feel the biting chill of the mountain air, but also the heat radiating from my body. I didn't understand why I was drawn to hear her, why my soul yearned for the chaos she represented. My nights were filled with dreams of her, tangled in an embrace that was both tantalizing and terrifying. There were moments when I felt alive again, as if she was coaxing the remnants of my broken spirit to dance again under the stars. But I could never fully shake the nagging feeling that even the most enchanting fairy tale comes with a price. Then one night, it happened. Clara whispered something to me, her voice so low it was barely a breath against the stillness. They see you, her eyes bore into mine, and the weight of her gaze felt like a violation. They know you are here. The silence that followed closed in around us like a heavy shroud. My heart was pounding like a drum, each beat echoing in the vastness of the night. She stepped closer, her breath warm against the cold air, and in that instant, I felt something shift. A frigid wind swept through the trees, and the leaves rustled as if they were warning us. I could hear the wind howling, a feral cry that chilled me to the bone. "What do you mean they see me?" I stuttered, the lump in my throat growing larger. Panic surged through me, and I could feel every nerve in my body firing into overdrive. I wanted to run, to flee from whatever darkness was weaving around her words. But Clara just smiled, a sad, knowing smile that sent shivers down my spine. "You can't run from what's already found you." In that moment, the forest grew unnervingly silent, every creature holding its breath. My mind spiraled, caught between dread and curiosity. Who was she? What power did she possess? And who were they? The questions hung in the air, heavy and unanswered. My heart raced, and I could feel the icy fingers of fear gripping my chest. I knew I was stepping onto shaky ground, and part of me wondered if I'd just opened a door to something I wouldn't be able to close. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The following days slipped by in a blur of tension and confusion. Clara's words haunted me like shadows, lurking just out of reach. I found myself wandering the trails aimlessly, searching for clarity among the trees. Each step felt heavy, as if the very ground was warning me to turn back. The thrill I once felt at her side began to unravel into a knot of anxiety that constricted my heart. Yet, there wasn't just fear. There was also an inexplicable longing that kept drawing me back to Clara's wild, untamed spirit. I hadn't seen her since that moment under the stars. Each morning I woke, hopeful that she would appear as the sun crested the peaks. But day after day, I faced only the raw beauty of the mountains, their splendor marred by an aching void where she once stood. I thought of searching for her, but dread held me back. Maybe it was safer, I told myself. Maybe it was better to stay away from the secrets that lurked in the shadows, secrets that were bound to ensnare me. Just as I was about to give in to despair, a ray of light broke through. I met an elderly man while wandering into town, his face lined with weathered stories. He noticed my distraction, his gaze penetrating yet kind. "You're searching for something, aren't you?" he asked, a gentle knowing in his voice that I hesitated, unsure of how to explain the swirling conflict within me. But he extended a hand, leading me to a nearby bench adorned with colorful flowers. "You're not the first to be drawn to the mountains and its mysteries," he said softly. "Nature will always guide you if you let it. Trust what your heart tells you." His words soothed my frayed nerves. I breathed deeply, absorbing the tranquility of the moment. In the simplest gesturia shared silence, I felt a connection breaking through the fog of my uncertainty. It was as if he had unlocked a door I had no idea was closed. Again, hope began to flicker within me, though it was fragile. I returned to the forest that day, the echoes of his wisdom guiding my steps. My resolve kept me moving forward, and just as dusk descended, there she was, Clara, standing at the edge of a clearing, her silhouette framed by the fading light. All at once, the world fell away, the noise ceased, and it felt as if the mountains held their breath. "Where have you been?" I asked, heart clamoring in my chest. She turned slowly, an enigmatic smile painted on her lips. "I needed time to listen," she replied, the wind catching her hair like a wild halo. "The mountains speak, and I have to be quiet to hear them." "Speak? What did you hear?" The question slipped out before I could stop myself. Part of me was terrified to know. "They whispered of your fears," she said, stepping closer, her voice low and intimate. "And they spoke of a path laid before you, a choice you must make." A chill ran down my spine. "What choice?" Clara's eyes darkened. "It's not my secret to share." Her expression crumbled slightly, revealing the vulnerability underneath her wild exterior. "But know this, whatever path you choose will alter the lives of those around you. It has to do with them." She gestured vaguely with her chin. "Those who see you, the ones watching from the depths of the woods." An unsettling wave of dread washed over me. What did that mean? Who were these watchers? Just as I was about to ask, an ear-splitting crack shattered the stillness. My heart leapt, and I looked back to see a tree drop like a giant's fist, roots exposed, revealing a hidden cavern beneath. Dust and debris clouded the air, and Clara took a step back, her eyes wide with fear. "Something has awakened," she murmured as a strange energy pulsated from the chasm, enveloping us in an eerie glow. My breath hitched as figures began to emerge from the shadowy depths, a cluster of people, faces obscured but their intentions palpable, lurking just beyond the light. A sickening realization coursed through me, chilling me to the bone. I wasn't just a visitor here. I had become part of something far more intricate, a story interwoven with generations of secrets. As the figures approached, Clara's hand found mine, squeezing tightly. The connection sent an electric shock coursing through me, igniting both fear and an unexpected sense of unity in the unknown. In that moment, I understood whatever lay ahead could change everything. Each heartbeat drummed in rhythm with the rise of the ominous figures from the ground, and as I glanced at Clara beside me, I realized the mountain would soon reveal its true nature. Before I could voice my concerns, the first of the figures stepped into the light, and my breath caught in my throat at the sight. I had seen that face before, or at least a ghost of resemblance flickered in my memory, a familial connection I had long thought buried. A shattering truth was unfolding before me, and at that moment, I understood. I had not just come to the mountains to heal. I had come to uncover the roots of my own past. The air hung heavy with tension, charged with the weight of revelations yet to come. Clara's grip on my hand tightened, her presence grounding me as the figure emerged fully into the flickering light. Recognition shot through me like lightning. This was not just any stranger. It was someone I had only seen in fragments, stories passed down through whispered legends. My great-uncle, lost to family lore and time, stood before me. As the figure stepped closer, the chasm cradled within its depths seemed to pulse with dark intent. My mind raced, threads of memory weaving into place. A man who had left our family with questions unanswered, a figure wrapped in mystery and sorrow. Why had he returned now, from the shadows of my past? "Your blood calls to you," he said, his voice deep and resonant, echoing around the clearing. The mountains chose you, just as they chose me long ago. His gaze pierced through the dust, searching my soul in a way that sent a shiver down my spine. That I don't understand, I managed, the words tumbling out in a breathless rush. What does this mean? It means you are a part of a legacy, a lineage entwined with the very heart of these woods. You were brought here for a reason. The whispers are yours to hear. He paused, a flicker of sadness crossing his features. But with that connection comes great burden. Clara's hand slipped from mine as she took a cautious step back, her expression a mixture of fear and intrigue. What burden? She asked, her voice wavering. I could feel the tremor in the air, the trees whispering secrets, but their language eluded me. The decisions you make will ripple through time, my great-uncle continued, his eyes shimmering as they mirrored mine. Exactly like Clara's, like mine before her. You must choose. Embrace the path your heart beckons you toward, or reject your past and condemn your blood to wander. My heart raced as I grappled with the implications of his words. Was it possible to straddle both worlds? To live a life free of the weight of expectation while remaining true to the desires that coursed through my veins? I turned to Clara, but the words felt heavy, a declaration I didn't know how to make. Just then, from behind the emerging figure, others began to gather. Each wore a look of intensity and purpose, faces familiar yet distant, a fragmented family tree full of those who had come before me. As their gazes fell upon me, I felt a sense of being thrust into a spotlight I had never chosen to enter. Your choice has repercussions on them too, Clara spoke softly, her voice edged with urgency. They've been waiting, but you must decide if you're ready to face the truth. I need time, I stammered, the weight of it all crashing down on me as the reality of my lineage crystallized. To embrace this meant inviting chaos into my orderly Lithia life where questions had always been avoided. I stood in a swirling storm of past and present, Clara and my great-uncle exchanging worried glances. A sudden flash of light illuminated the area, a spectral shimmer cascading down like confetti. It startled everyone, and then in an instant, the figures shifted, drawing back as the ground trembled beneath us. Clara, catching my gaze, whispered urgently, "Whatever's in there, whatever they want from you, it won't wait. The mountains are showing you a choice, but you must act now." With that, the figures stepped back just as a ravenous wind gusted through the clearing, sending leaves spiraling around us. The unseen forces trapped within the chasm were restless, ready to unleash their secrets and demand the answers they sought. "Don't let them take you," Clara shouted, her eyes fierce with warning. A pulse of energy struck my core, igniting the power of choice inside me, a wild, swirling potential that begged for release. But before I could decide, a mournful howl erupted from the depths of the cavern, echoing through the mountains like a shriek of anguish. Then, as chaos brewed, my heart sank further at the sight of the raven emerging from the shadowy depths. Its eyes glimmered, and it carried something distinctly familiar, a pendant that swung from its beak, a family heirloom long thought lost. It dropped the pendant at my feet, an iridescent shimmer fading into the shadows, mixing with my own uncertainty and fear. What I had thought to be a simple journey of healing was now a convoluted web of responsibilities, legacies, and grief that pulsed like the heart of the mountains around us. With a last, determined glance shared with Clara, shared understanding of the weight of the past, and the hope for the unknown, I took a step toward the chasm, as the wind howled and the shadows closed in. In that moment, the gravity of the revelation washed over me. There would be no turning back. As I inched closer to the chasm, the pendant glinted ominously beneath the swirling leaves, its luminous surface catching the light like a beacon in the chaos. My heart thundered in my chest as the raven circled overhead, cawing as if urging me to grasp my destiny. Clara's warning echoed darkly in my mind, "Don't let them take you." But it felt as though the yearning in my gut was pulling me forward, an undercurrent too strong to resist. "I can't do this without you," I breathed, casting a desperate glance back at Clara, who stood still, fear etched into her features, her hands clenching and unclenching as if fighting against some unseen force. "You don't have to carry this burden alone, but you have to choose what you want," she said, punctuated by a tremor in her voice. The past is a strong current. It wants to pull you in. But remember, you are not just your lineage. I nodded, the tendrils of uncertainty wrapping tighter around my heart. Yet I felt the pull of the mountains, a call as familiar as my own breath. Legends had been spun around these old stones and gnarled roots, and now they beckoned me, whispering secrets once silenced by time. The figures of my ancestors loomed behind me like silent guardians, ephemeral yet solid in their presence, a reminder of every choice made before me. What do you want? My great-uncle's voice broke through the haze, grounding me. What lies in the depths of your heart? I hesitated, wrestling with the conflict that raged inside me, the desire for adventure warring against the fear of what that adventure could unveil. More than anything, I wanted a sense of belonging, one that didn't come with strings of guilt or suffocating expectations. I want to know who I am. Really, I finally admitted, my voice barely a whisper against the howling wind. But I'm afraid of what I might find. Fear can be a guide as much as it can be a chain, my great-uncle replied. But stepping into the unknown is where your true journey begins. Then, from the edge of the forest, dawn began to creep, soft light spilling over the horizon, golden fingers brushing against my skin, igniting a spark of hope within me. In that moment, I allowed myself to feel the warmth of possibility, a delicate balance between the past and the future, with Clara's unwavering support at my side. The mountains will not let you go without understanding, she whispered, inching closer as the energy around us sharpened. Whatever it is that they hold, only your heart can unlock its true meaning. With a newfound resolve igniting within me, I took another step toward the chasm. The pendant pulsated at my feet, and I knelt to pick it up, the weight of generations settling into my palm. It felt alive, as if the stories of my ancestors were coursing through it. The raven's eyes met mine, an understanding passing between us, a promise, perhaps, that I was not alone, but tethered to something greater. Suddenly, a shift in the atmosphere forewarned me of incoming change. The figures around us began to flicker, their faces alternating like a film reel shuddering back to life. They murmured in a hushed tone, a language heavy with urgency, but devoid of clarity. The ground quivered beneath me, and I felt an energy swell, loud and insisting, urging me to listen. Then came an explosion of sound, a collision of whispers blending into a singular revelation, a sentence emerging from the murky depths that struck through the chaos like a shot of light. The heart of the mountain is awakening, and it calls for its keeper. Just as quickly as it had surged, the call faded, leaving an eerie silence that teetered on the edge of something significant. A flicker of vulnerability rippled through Clara's eyes as I turned to face her, confusion mixed with a hint of fear. What does that mean? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't know, I replied, panic creeping in. But I have to find out. At that moment, the earth crackled. It was a sound that resonated deep within, causing the figures to recoil slightly, as if the very ground beneath us had become sentient. In a heartbeat, the raven swooped low, the last of the shadows clinging to its wings as it circled me once more, guiding me away from the chasm momentarily. But with that guidance came a jolt, a hidden current of energy that surged through me, an awakening that brought clarity amidst the storm. I gasped as images began to unravel in my mind, fragmented glimpses of a life intertwined with the mountains, and a history I'd never understood. And then, with a piercing caw, a figure began to emerge from the depths of the chasm, neither ancestor nor friend, an unexpected specter that loomed larger than anything I had yet encountered. A figure cloaked in despair and shadow, revealing a truth that threatened to upend everything I had just begun to piece together. Your journey has only just begun, it hissed, each word sliding into the air like a dagger. And your choice will affect not only you, but all that you love. The lineage demands a sacrifice, and you must decide who will pay the price for your freedom. With my heart racing, I felt the ground shift beneath me again, uncertainty tightening its grip. Clara's hand found mine, anchoring me as we faced the figure together. The veil of night seemed to close in tighter, shadows dancing as we stood on the precipice of revelation. The cave's chill deepening as the weight of the past threatened to swallow us whole. The moment hung, suspended yet charged, and in that swirling confusion of fate and legacy, I whispered resolutely, I will face this truth, whatever it is. But I won't face it alone. As the figure loomed over us, darkness swirling like a storm, I could feel the pulse of uncertainty beating in my chest. Panic and dread mingled with an unexpected surge of determination as I clutched Clara's hand tighter. "Who are you?" I demanded, my voice resonating across the chasm like a challenge thrown into the void. Its laugh rang hollow, echoing through the air like a bell tolling doom. "I am the keeper of burdens," it said, "and my existence is woven into the very fabric of the mountain." "You wish to know your truth? To unearth what has been hidden?" "Yes," I replied, each letter heavy with resolve, but dread clawed at me, threatening to pull me under. "But not at the cost of anyone else. I won't sacrifice those I love." The keeper's eyes burned bright in the shadows, glimmers of long-forgotten sorrow swimming in their depths. "Your heart is noble, but the lineage demands a price. To step into the truth of who you are, someone must pay. It cannot be avoided." Clara's grip tightened, and I could feel the warmth of her empathy radiating through our joined hands. "No one should have to pay for your freedom. Not like this," she whispered, her voice trembling as a shiver raced down my spine. "Then choose," the keeper taunted, its tone dripping with malice. "Perhaps the one who has been guiding you all along?" With a sweeping gesture, the shadows wove together, shaping into a figure that took form and apparition of my mother, ethereal and yet sorrowful, standing between me and Clara. "Mom." The word escaped my lips, raw with disbelief. "What how she is the embodiment of your past," the keeper rasped, "bound to this place by your desire to know more. In order to step into your future, the ancestor must pay the debt of your pursuit." I staggered, the revelation crashing into me like a tidal wave. A choice twisted cruelly in the air, and even as I fought against it, the weight of my lineage pressed upon me, a legacy rooted deeply within the mountain and my mother's spirit. "No," I shouted, the word bursting forth fueled by instinctive defiance. "You won't take her." I refused to make that choice. The keeper's laughter rolled like thunder, unsettling the ground beneath us. "So, you stand defiant? Very well. But no Thesa choice left unmade is a choice that could doom them all." For a heartbeat, panic sparked within me, paralyzing my resolve. I could envision the myriad of choices unraveling before me, each path paved with shadow and light. My mind raced as I wrestled with the implications of this decision, the faces of those I held dear flashing before me in agonizing clarity. Clara's haunted gaze pulled at my heart, a reservoir of unconditional support mixed with a painful understanding of sacrifice. "Your journey doesn't have to lead to despair," she said softly, squeezing my hand as though she could transfer strength through that bond. "We can find another way. There must be another option in this madness." Suddenly, an unexpected warmth surged between us, igniting a flicker of hope. As I glanced down at the pendant still clutched in my palm, I felt its energy pulse in response to my turmoil, resonating with a deep yearning that seemed to converge with Clara's words. "Your lineage has a deep connection to these mountains," I thought, my brow furrowing in realization. "Maybe it doesn't have to end with sacrifice." The keeper's form solidified, looming larger, but as fear washed through me, something crystallized in my mundane, unyielding truth. "What if I forfeit my claim?" I breathed, an impulse igniting courage within me. "What if I embrace the shadows and refuse the lineage's demands entirely?" The figure paused, caught in the fluid transition of power. "You cannot simply relinquish what binds you. The mountain's heart demands its keeper. There are consequences. Not for Clara, not for my mother." I cried, my voice echoing fiercely through the ether. "Let me be the keeper of my own fate. I will navigate this with love, with no one else's life at stake." An unsettling silence fell, the shadows wavering as if considering this new path, but the tension hung thick, the stakes impossibly high. I could feel Clara's breath hitch beside me, her faith and fear mingling in the air as she processed my audacious declaration. And then, like the flicker of a candle caught in the breeze, reality shifted. The air vibrated with energy, the cavern walls trembling as if responding to my refusal. But with that charge came a piercing sound that reverberated throughout, forcing me to hold my ground against the surge of energy unleashed. The keeper writhed, its form melting into shadows drawn into the chasm, voice distorting with frustration. You cannot escape it forever. The mountain will rise, and so shall the price when the time comes. I felt a wave of dizziness sweep over me as the shadows receded, leaving only the echoes of my own heart beating wildly in the stillness. Wait, what did you mean? I called into the void, desperate for clarity, but the darkness swallowed my words, leaving Clara and me standing amidst the remnants of our choices, clinging to the hope that echoed in the wake of uncertainty. And just as I was about to draw a breath of relief, a figure stepped from the shadows of the entrance, eyes glinting with untold stories, another being connected to this desolate landscape, with a presence that sent shivers through the air. Who dares to defy the keeper? The voice rang out, cold and commanding, sending a fresh wave of terror racing through me. Clara's grip slackened beside me as we turned to face this new specter, each heartbeat drumming a chaotic rhythm that echoed the turmoil of the unknown. Our pasts and futures collided upon that threshold, and the air grew heavier with every passing moment. We had not yet escaped the mountain's intricate web of fate, and something deep within me quaked with the knowledge that whatever was to come next would change everything forever. A gust of wind swept through the cavern, lifting the thick veil of tension as the figure stepped fully into the dim light. My heart thudded painfully against my chest as the contours of a face etched with deep lines and wisdom emerged from the shadows. She had wild, tousled hair of auburn, reminiscent of brightly burning leaves in autumn, and eyes that shimmered like sunlight through a dense forest alive with ancient secrets. "Your defiance has consequences," she said, her voice steady, laced with an undertone of empathy that contrasted sharply with the chilling aura surrounding her. "But it also ignites potential." Clara stirred beside me, her curiosity peeking through the veil of uncertainty. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice softer now, almost reverent. "I am Alicia, daughter of the mountain and keeper of its stories," the woman replied, stepping closer, her presence grounding in a way that comforted my uneasy heart. "And I have seen choices made and unmade before. The threads of your fate intertwine with your mother's, but they are not beyond the realm of change." I could feel Clara's hand tighten around mine, her pulse racing, as I searched Alicia's gaze for understanding. "You know what I'm faced with," I murmured, cautiously stepping into the uncertainty. "I cannot sacrifice my mother or Clara." "Sacrifices are often a reflection of fear," Alicia stated, tilting her head slightly. "But fear can also carve a path to freedom, if you dare to explore it." Her words draped over me like a comforting cloak, inviting me to listen more intently. "If I relinquish my claim, will that protect them?" I asked, seeking clarity amid the overwhelming confusion. "Can the mountain be appeased without bloodshed?" A shadow danced across Alicia's features, her expression shifting into something grave. "This mountain thrives on the ties woven in love and pain, but there may be other paths. You carry the weight of decisions yet to be made, ones that could tether you to your lineage or set you free to forge your OW. As the heaviness of her gaze bore down on me, I felt the crushing reality of her words sink in. The mountain wasn't simply a setting. It was a living tapestry of my history and my choices. And yet, woven through it all was the faint thread of hope that shimmered as brightly as Clara's unwavering gaze. "Then what must I do?" I asked, urgency filling my voice. "Tell me how I can protect them without forsaking all that I am." Alicia stepped closer, the energy shifting as she lowered her voice, drawing us into her confidence. "You must discover the truth not only of your lineage but of the connection between the mountain and your heart. The keeper requires a bond of promise rooted in your essence, one that ties you to this place without destroying those tied to you." "But how?" Clara interjected, her brow furrowing in concentration. "What does that even mean for us?" Alicia paused, her eyes shimmering with memories that brushed against the edges of my comprehension. "You both must navigate the truth hidden within these mountains. There are chambers yet untouched by your discovery, secrets waiting to be unveiled. But be wary. The price of revelation may still require sacrifice, albeit not in the way you feared." A lingering silence settled amongst us, heavy with the weight of possibility. My heart raced alongside my thoughts. So much was I willing to surrender in my quest for truth, if it meant saving Clara and my mother? Then, as if summoned by the fierce gathering of energies at our feet, The darkness around us stirred, and a sudden tremor coursed through the ground. The rumble pulled along whispers insistent and urgent, echoing threats that made me feel as if the mountain itself was awakening to our plight. Alicia's gaze snapped toward the shadows, nerves taut as she raised a hand to calm the tremors. The keeper is not easily silenced. Whatever you do must be with intention, and time is not on your side. That my breath caught in my throat as the ethereal shadows grew restless around us, claws of darkness reaching forward as if eager to snatch away the light of resolve that flickered between Clara and me. What if we don't find the truth in time? I whispered, the heaviness of dread sinking into my bones. Alicia's features softened enough to reflect both pity and understanding. Then know that it is in the storms of uncertainty that our greatest strength lies, and you carry a spark of it within you. And just as quickly, her gaze hardened, the ethereal light behind her becoming a fierce beacon. But beware, for the mountains have ears. Just then, a sudden echo interrupted our exchange, reverberating off the cavern walls with a clarity that stole the air from my lungs. They will pay. A voice boomed, a menacing echo unlike anything I had heard before, reverberating like thunder across the expanse. My heart raced as the air turned electric with fear and anticipation. I turned to Clara, her eyes wide with fear, mirroring the panic that surged within me. We have to find the truth, I insisted, the urgency flooding through me. Before it's too late. And as the shadowy shapes pulsed around us and the weight of time pressed inexorably forward, I knew that the threads of my destiny were tangled with secrets yet to be unraveled. The mountain held its breath, and I could only hope that with Clara by my side, we might still uncover a path forward before the boundaries between sacrifice and love blurred beyond recognition. A flicker of uncertainty danced within me as Alicia's warning reverberated like a bell tolling towards a looming storm. My pulse thudded in my ears, drowned out by the echo of that ominous voice and the urgent tremor beneath our feet. Clara squeezed my hand tighter, grounding me in this memento lifeline amid the chaos. What do we do now? Clara's voice trembled, yet her eyes sparkled with determination. She refused to succumb to despair, and in her resolve, I found a flicker of hope. We must explore the chambers, I replied, my voice steadier than I felt. Alicia said they hold hidden truths about the mountain. If we don't find them, we'll lose everything. Without wasting another moment, we turned to Alicia, who stood as a resolute figure amidst the shadows. Where do we begin? She looked deeply into my eyes, as if searching for a hidden reservoir of strength within me. Follow the voice of the whispers. They know your true purpose. They cannot be ignored. But tread carefully. Every step unveils layers that could bind or break you. With a nod, I turned to Clara, and together, we stepped cautiously into the dimly lit passage that branched off the cavern, its mouth yawning like a beckoning truth. Alicia's eyes glimmered with anticipation and a hint of sorrow, a bittersweet goodwill that lingered even as we moved deeper into the stone embrace of the mountain. As we progressed, the air thickened with age-old secrets. The walls bore inscriptions that seemed almost alive, pulsating under our fingertips. Clara traced her hand along the rough surface, and I felt a shiver run through me, a conduit of ancient energy swirling between us. What if the whispers are wrong? She asked softly. What if they lead us to danger? Her apprehension mirrored my own, but I had to believe that our combined strength could navigate the labyrinth of secrets. We'll find a way, Clara. We won't lose our way. Not again. With each step, the whispers of the mountain grew louder, echoing soft, melodic words in languages both foreign and familiar. The air tinged with sadness, longing, and something more, a sense of belonging intertwined with the untold stories of my lineage. I felt the ties of my heritage tug at my heart like an enticing yet dangerous dance, pulling me deeper into the unknown. Suddenly, a flash of movement caught my eye. The shadows flickered and pooled together, casting shapes upon the stone. My heart raced as I turned to Clara, only to find her eyes locked onto a figure emerging from the darkened passage ahead. Who's there? I called out, my voice a resonant echo that seemed to pull the shadows tighter around us. The figure stepped into the dim light, his features sharp and fierce, illuminating a face etched with time and loss. I am Kale, he declared, the weight of his words crashing over us like a wave. and I bear messages of sacrifice. Sacrifice? Clara repeated, apprehension coloring her tone. What do you mean? Cale's gaze flitted between us, anguish reflected in his eyes. You tread a delicate path. The mountain has awakened, and it knows you've come seeking truth, yet it demands a price that could reshape your existence. The keeper will claim what it desires. Please, I interjected, urgency bleeding into my voice. We're trying to protect those we love. What must we do? Cale stepped closer, his intensity drawing us in as he lowered his voice. You must make a choice not rooted in fear or selfishness, but in a bond that transcends blood. Only then can you bend the mountain to your will. There is a connection that must be honored, one that flows deeply between your family and the earth itself. It is the key to your survival. What do you mean? I whispered, a sense of foreboding settling in my chest. I could feel the mountain's heartbeat pounding in harmony with my own, as if warning me of an impending fracture between what was meant to be and what would not come to pass. Before Cale could respond, a jagged crack reverberated through the air, splitting our moment of clarity. The keeper is impatient, he murmured, a shadow casting over his features as his resolve faltered. You must decide now. Just as my heart hammered furiously, reality unfurled in jagged edges. Clara reached for me, a silent plea echoing in her gaze. I had to choose. Hope and sacrifice wage war within me, threatening to unravel all I had worked for. Remember, Cale pressed, urgency bleeding into every word. The mountain thrives on truth, your truth. Uncover it, and perhaps you will withstand the keeper's wrath. But before any more could be said, the shadows coalesced, darkening the chamber as if responding to a primal calling. An otherworldly resonant roar reverberated through the cavern, and the entryway behind us sealed shut with a thunderous crash. Panic spiraled into my gut as I turned to Clara, who stared wide-eyed, nearness to the edge of uncertainty. We're trapped, I said, helplessness clawing at my heart. No, she whispered, her voice steady with a courage that coursed through the air. We can't give up. We have to face what lies ahead. And as the shadows encircled us, a pang of realization struck me. Whatever lay hidden within this mountain. The truth was more than a revelation. It was the potential for uncharted paths, both exhilarating and terrifying. Shaken, yet filled with an urge unlike any other, I took a step forward with Clara's hand clasped tightly in mine, ready to plunge into the depths of the unknown, ready to confront the keeper and seek the bond that could mend our fragile destinies. The cavern trembled, alive with raw energy, and as I breathed in the charged air, dread and hope intertwined. We had awakened something that couldn't easily be silenced. But would our courage be enough to rewrite our fates before the mountain cast its final judgment? With a rush of adrenaline, I plunged deeper into the cavern, with Clara's hand firm in mine, an anchor amid the chaos swirling inside me. The walls narrowed as we moved forward, and every heartbeat seemed to count down our moments, siphoned by the echoes of the shadows pressing in around us. Breathe, Clara said just above a whisper, her voice soothing yet urgent. Whatever comes, we face it together. I nodded, even as my gut twisted with a maze of uncertainty. The whispers engulfed us, wild and frenetic, weaving through my thoughts like a tempest, urging me to decipher their tangled meanings. The deeper we traveled, the less we felt like mere explorers. We were becoming part of the mountain's pulse, its memory blending with our own. As we traversed the passage, clusters of gemstones shimmered like stars caught in stone. Clara paused, kneeling to touch Oni, deep emerald glinting with an inner light. Do you think they hold answers? She asked, her fingers brushing against its surface. They might, I replied, remembering Cale's words. Yet, deep down, I felt the mountain was far more complex than any answer crystallized in stone. Every gem radiated the weight of history and loss, reflecting not just beauty, but the burdens that come with truth. As we pressed on, a sudden gust of wind cut through the passage, chilling us to the bone. It whispered secrets we could barely grasp, a haunting lullaby echoing the pain and purpose of those who had come before us. Then, just as swiftly, the wind extinguished, leaving an eerie silence that sent shivers racing down my spine. Did you feel that? Clara's eyes searched mine, wide and unblinking. Something is watching us. A flicker of movement flared just beyond the shadows, and I turned instinctively, a primal instinct coursing through me. Show yourself. My voice felt unsteady, yet I forced it to carry, breaking the oppressive silence. The air thickened, and I could almost hear the mountain's heart quickening in response. Suddenly, from the darkness, a creature emerged, elegant, yet menacing. Its eyes glowed like twin moons, reflecting both curiosity and caution. You found your way to the keeper, it stated, a low, resonant voice that reverberated through the chamber. Few tread this path willingly. What do you want from us? I demanded, feeling the weight of its gaze upon me. To know your intentions, the creature replied, stepping closer, revealing its form. It was a wild amalgamation of stone and spirit, a guardian forged from the very essence of the mountain. The truth of your heart will dictate the keeper's response. Speak it clearly, or suffer the consequences. That I turned back to Clara, her face pale but fierce with determination. What if we don't know the truth yet? She murmured. What if they've buried it within us? Then we dig, I urged, sensing the pressing time as if the mountain itself demanded a confession. That we stood united, preparing to untangle our fears, to delve into the memories that had brought us here, alongside the haunting weight of expectations we had carried for so long. We're here to save those we love, I breathed out, a trembling honesty spilling forth. But we're scared. We have nothing but our love for each other to guide us. The creature regarded us in silence before a small, glimmering smile broke through its somber facade. Love is a profound truth, but it can blind when we refuse to see beyond. What other truths do you carry, children of this mountain? Caught off guard by its unexpected gentleness, I hesitated, searching for the raw honesty within me. We've lost so much, I admitted, my voice shaking. Our families, our home, our sense of belonging. I fear the anger and loss might consume us. The keeper nodded knowingly, the depths of its eyes reflecting the very sorrow I carried. To confront these truths, you must unearth the roots from which they sprung. Only by embracing your past can you reclaim your present. Its words sunk deep into my heart. I felt the ground shake below us, a worrying tremor that sent fragments of stone cascading from above. We have to go? Clara cried, tugging at my arm as panic ignited within her. No, I implored, desperation framing my words as I held my ground. We can't leave without understanding. Before another argument could swell between us, the walls groaned with the voice of the mountain, promising trials thick with memories yet to be reclaimed. The shadows thickened around us, revolving in frenetic chaos, and with startling clarity, I realized we were on the cusp of a powerful revelation or utter destruction. Just then, a piercing shriek tore through the air, shattering the tension and sending primal fears spiraling through the chamber. The keeper recoiled, its form flickering in the chaos. You must decide, what are you willing to sacrifice to face the truth? The shadows surged around us, entwining our limbs like fast-laying chains, squeezing and threatening to pull us into darkness. Clara looked frightened, yet resolute, her jaw set. We can't leave each other behind, she declared, her voice strong despite the looming dread. And in that moment, realization sliced through the chaos. Whatever lay in the depths of our past, be it painful memories or hidden truths, we were tethered by a bond so fierce that no sacrifice would shatter it. But would our united will be enough to withstand the keeper's tests that now loomed before us? Before I could answer her, a blinding flash illuminated the chamber, revealing a multitude of face specters caught in their own loops of sorrow and truth. I staggered back as the faces swirled like a cyclone, staring with haunting eyes, each one reflecting notes of my own history, resonating with losses I hadn't wanted to confront. Clara, look, I shouted, terror tightening my chest as the specters reached out, pleading in murmurings too soft to comprehend. They were the echoes of our familia, of my father, lost in ambition, and Clara's sister's laughter drowned out by their painful partings. But as I took a trembling breath, I suddenly felt Clara's warmth beside me, grounding me as the shadows pulsed, drawing me closer to the brink of revelation. Hold on to me, she urged, her tenacity igniting the resolve within me. Together, I whispered, plunging into the tumult, armed with love and fear intertwined, a reckless journey into the heart of the mountain, where the echoes of our past would converge upon the present. The keeper awaited, and the choice we had to make resonated with more than just the fate of our shared destinies. It was the very essence of everything we held dear. Yet moments before we could reach out to the swirling faces, a deafening roar expelled through the cavern, rupturing our thoughts and bringing the mountain's wrath upon us. In the chaos of swirling shadows, our hands slipped apart, and Clara was ripped from my grasp, her scream filled with confusion and fear echoing into the void as the darkness claimed her. My heart splintered, the true weight of sacrifice unveiling itself before me. "Clara," I cried, but the shadows consumed her, leaving me standing alone, trembling with despair, left to face the Keeper's judgment with nothing but the truth surging within me. The echo of Clara's scream reverberated in my ears, a haunting melody that stilled my heart. I stood at the brink of an abyss emotionally and physically, grasping at the echo of her warmth that had just slipped through my fingers. The world spun around me, shadows swirling like frenzied spirits, taunting me with the heavy weight of loss. "Where is she?" I shouted, panic rising like bile in my throat. I turned frantically, searching the darkened chamber, knowing deep down that my voice would not reach her among the shadows that had enveloped her. The Keeper hovered, its form wavering between solidity and ethereal vapor. "You must confront the darkness within," it said, its voice resonating like molten stone, dragging its words deep into my soul. "To save her, you must first recognize the darkness that dwells in your heart." Darkness. The very word sent tremors through me, reminding me of the gnawing memories I had long buried, the loss of my father, who fled from his responsibilities, leaving only echoes of his shattered dreams behind, the pain of every friend who had turned their back in moments when I needed them most. And now, dear Clara was slipping away into that same chasm of despair, leaving me to grapple with my own inadequacies. "I can't let her go," I cried, my voice cracking as I reached out, feeling the shadows beginning to pull again. "She's everything to me." "Then find the truth that binds you," the Keeper responded, its gaze piercing through the chaos. "Only by embracing your past can you weave back the strands that connect you. Within the shadows lies your salvation." And with that demand, the tempest around me coalesced into clarity. Each face of the specters that had twisted around me began to rise from the shadows, forming a mosaic of my past. My mother, tear-stained eyes watching as my father turned his back, friends laughing while I stood aside, knowing I would never fit in. Clara's sister, eyes bright with dreams, snuffed out by grief prolonged. "Listen to them," I yelled, desperation gripping my throat as I stumbled toward each visage, hoping to grasp onto any thread that could bring Clara back. But with every step forward, the shadows receded, pulling Clara further away, until I felt a pain sharper than any I had known. "Why should I have to relive this?" I screamed into the abyss. "Why won't you let me just save her?" "Because your own salvation hinges upon it," the Keeper replied, voice echoing with unyielding wisdom. "To face your fears is to extinguish the very darkness that binds you. To love is to understand, to forgive, and to reclaim what is lost." Forgive? The word stung with the bitterness of past grievances. Could I really forgive my father for his cowardice? Could I forgive myself for holding on to anger? But Clara's face broke through the veil of sorrow, the laughter we shared, the warmth of her hands intertwined with mine, her fierce obstinacy that pushed me to be better, to confront my demons. "Clara," I breathed out, summoning her spirit in a desperate hope. "I will find my way back to you. I will face them all." The chamber began to quake, rattling like the fears within me. I turned back to the wailing shadows, feeling the pulse of each specter, grasping fragments of truth as they swirled around me. "I see you. I hear your pain," I shouted, reaching for my father's specter. "You left us, but it's not too late to understand. I wanted you to see Mito be proud. I thought losing you meant I had to carry your burden." The moment those words escaped my lips, I felt a warmth envelop me. My father's visage flickered, anguish mingling with acknowledgement. "I wanted you to stand tall, to be more than I ever was," he whispered. "I didn't have the strength to fight my own darkness. Forgive me, son." And with that admission, tendrils of shadow fell away. Weight was lifted, but it was only a piece of a larger puzzle. I turned to each spirit, finding strength to stand firm. Friends, the laughter we never nurtured, The opportunities one took for granted, each one bidding me to unlock the chains of resentment that had long bound my heart. Forgive me, I stated firmly to each face. I wanted to hold you all responsible for my pain. But it's time I faced what was mine, to bear the anger, the guilt. I embraced the truth. The keeper glowed brighter, illuminating Clara's form trapped amidst the shadows. I felt a surge of purpose. Every confession of regret, every whispered apology felt like light cutting through my darkness. Clara, I'm coming for you, I yelled, straining against the confinement of shadows, reaching with everything I had. And then, amidst the tumult, the winds withered and quieted. The specters settled around me with ethereal peace, and the keeper nodded solemnly. You have faced the shadows within, and in doing so, reignited the bond that connects you. With a trembling breath, I lunged forward, arms outstretched as Clara's spirit flickered, teetering on the precipice of the shadows. Hold on, I cried, extending my hand toward hers, desperation fueling my plea. I won't let go. But as the last piece of darkness dissipated, a fissure cracked through the chamber floor, jagged and fierce, separating me from Clara, her expression a mix of hope and despair as the chasm widened between us. The keeper's gaze softened. Do you wish to face the final truth for her sake? The strength to bridge this divide lies within your heart. The walls trembled again, as uncertainty threatened to wash over me anew. What do I need to do? I demanded, feeling the desperation clawing at my chest. Speak the truth that you seek, the keeper whispered, its voice interwoven with the rustling wind. The power lies in the love you cultivated, tethered even in your darkest moments. Love is what will save you both. With my heart pounding, I concentrated on Clara's spirit, the warmth of her presence igniting my strength. I love you, Clara. You've always been my light. I will face whatever darkness it takes to bring you back to me. I promise I won't run from our past, or the pain we've each carried. I will see you, understand you, and fight for us now and always. As those words left my lips, Clara's spirit began to shimmer, the shadows wavering in response. But just as it seemed I could draw her back, the chasm roared wider, swallowing fragments of my resolve. I staggered, pushed to the edge as the furor of loss threatened to reclaim me. Clara, I shouted, reaching for her once more. But as the darkness coalesced and the keeper loomed over us, a chilling realization pierced through the chaos. What if love wasn't enough? What if facing our past brought forth truths neither of us were ready to unveil? And as I teetered on the precipice, the keeper's voice boomed like thunder. Prepare, for the final truth arrives, and its weight may change everything you've known. Before I could comprehend its depth, the mountain shuddered violently, shadows surging and erupting like a storm, a tumult not of my making, but of my own failures. Clara's figure flickered, and just as quickly as it appeared, she vanished into the whirlpool of darkness, leaving me gasping for breath, standing alone amidst the storm of memories. The truth awaited, but could I bear to uncover what lay ahead? The tempest around me calmed for a moment, and time stretched into a revealing silence. I stood at the crossroads of my fears, facing the shadows that had plagued my past. Clara's absence echoed like a gaping hole in my heart, and the weight of countless emotions bore down upon me: pain of separation, the grief of lost relationships, and the burning desire to rectify what I had long avoided. Keeper, I spoke, my voice trembling but resolute. If love is what will save us, then I must first learn to fully love myself. I cannot carry this burden alone, and I will no longer let fear dictate my actions. The chamber shivered in response. The shadows around me pressed closer, demanding to hear my truth. That I closed my eyes, drawing upon every memory, every smile and tear I had shared with Clara. I am afraid, I confessed, the words slipping like a stream, both heavy and freeing. Afraid of disappointing those I love again, afraid of being abandoned as I once was. I always thought that I needed to bear the pain of my past alone. I thought my healing could come without reckoning. Each whispered essence of the spirits before me offered their quiet strength, weaving through the currents of sadness as I delved deeper. But they are reminders that I am not alone. They are the threads that bind me to my lineage, to Clara, and to the love we hold for one another. A gentle warmth began to unfurl inside me, shimmering with hope. That I turned to the tumultuous shadows swirling before me. I seek to confront the darkness, not only my own, but that which threatens those I love. I will shoulder my history. I'll face the truth of my father and the mistakes that shaped me. I need to reconcile with every choice made, not to be defined by them, but to break free from their weight. As I spoke, the keeper shifted closer, an attentive guardian, a guide standing ready to reveal the depth of my commitment. To what lengths will you go to save the one you love? It asked, its voice no longer echoing with menace, but rather with a curiosity that drew me closer to my purpose. Every length. I replied fervently, resolute. I would brave this mountain, face every specter, bear every truth. I would risk my own happiness to ensure Clara knows she is cherished, that she is not alone in this fight. I will not lose her. The shadows pulsed around me, growing brighter with each word I spoke. It was as if I were reigniting the very essence of my being, a fusion of light and warmth that resonated against the cold stone of the chamber. Your truth has begun to kindle, but a final sacrifice lingers, the keeper warned, its words now tinged with an unexpected gentleness. You have the power to weave two lives anew, but it will take courage to relinquish that which you cling to most tightly. Images of Clara flashed through my mind again, reflecting the joy we shared, the sanctuary we built together, and the affection that blossomed amid the chaos. I realized how tightly I had held onto my fears, stemming from the pain that threatened to sever our bond. Clara never needed me to be perfect, she needed me to be honest. Then I choose to sacrifice my doubts and fears, I promised the darkness. I will no longer define myself by the failures of my past, but embrace the possibility of a future forged in love. As those words hung in the air, the shadows erupted in a furious whirlwind, a maelstrom of darkness and light intermingled. I felt the monolithic weight of the keeper loosen slightly, revealing cracks of brilliant light that sliced through the oppressive gloom. With a determined heart, I stepped forward, reaching beyond the void that separated me from Clara. I could feel her spirit stirring within the shadows, her essence resonating with the pulse of the mountain. Clara, I called, my voice reaching for the one who completed me. Together, we are stronger than the fears that bind us. And then, the darkness began to recede, pushed back by the undeniable force of my declaration. Glimmers of golden light pierced through the shadows, illuminating the path ahead. The whispers of the mountain strengthened, urging me forward. The specters began to dissolve, scattering like leaves upon the wind, transforming the tension into a serene melody, their essence surrounding me with warmth. Then, amidst the shifting light, I saw her. Clara's figure fluttered like a ghost through the remnants of the shadows, her eyes bright and alive. As our gazes locked, I felt the weight of everything I had hidden melt away under the enormity of our love. "I'm here," I exclaimed, every ounce of despair and longing rushing through my veins. In that moment, the chasm between us dissolved, transforming into a bridge of glistening energy. I stepped boldly across, arms wide open, welcoming the reunion that seemed a lifetime in the making. Clara crossed to me, her eyes glistening with tears that shone like starlight. As I pulled her into my embrace, the warmth enveloped us, threading together the truths we had yet to face. A promise to navigate our journeys side by side, no longer shackled by the burdens of our past. "That I thought I lost you," I whispered into her hair, breathing in the connection that surged between us. But it was the darkness I had to confront, to learn that love is more powerful than the shadows. "And I thought I would never be seen," Clara replied, her voice thick with emotion against my chest. "But I should have known you would come for me. You always have." With that clear commitment, the chamber shifted around us once more, no longer a battleground but a sanctuary. The keeper lingered, its form softening into something warm and alive. "You have chosen the path of truth, where love reigns, illuminating the shadows. It is here that the bond between your souls can flourish." Light engulfed us, wrapping our hearts together, and I felt as if the mountain itself rejoiced in our unity. The past faded, untethering the chains that held us captive. Together, we breathed, vowing to share the burden of not just our past, but also the embrace of the future that awaited us. We stood, intertwined in the embrace of shared love and devotion. I knew that the road ahead would not be easy, but it would be ours, forged in truth and guided by the warmth of the mountains. with Clara beside me. I smiled through the tears that streamed down my face, a mixture of relief and boundless joy. We would make our path, hand in hand, learning that to love is to embrace the light, even against the darkest shadows. And the final revelation echoed in my heart, powerful and clear. Love is not just what saves us. It is what heals the heart of our past, giving us wings to forge a new beginning. As the mountains stood steadfast around us, I murmured the words that would carry us forward. Together, we are boundless.